The Global Caregivers Network presents the first annual Global Male Caregivers Summit coming your way April 13th, 2024, beginning at 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Register on Eventbrite to hear from the most amazing and powerfully inspiring men as they share caregiving from the male perspective. Grab your ticket today and we'll see you there.
Yes, caregivers must be selfish in order to survive. And, selfish is not a nice word. We teach our children, don't be selfish, and I wanted to write my book and call it Caregivers Must Be Selfish. And publishers, no, you can't use that word selfish. That's a negative word. Nobody will buy your book. So I came with another title. It's my life too, which I changed the title to It's Your Life Too, How to Thrive and Stay Alive as a Caregiver. But now I go around all across the country, as you said, telling people how to prevent your loved one's illness or disease from killing you. Because 30% of caregivers will die before their loved ones do. And if you happen to be caring for a dementia or an Alzheimer's patient, that number goes up to 40%. It's inevitable. You are either going to need a caregiver or you're going to be a caregiver. But it's going to happen. So now's the time to learn how to be a caregiver. For those of you who are listening who are not caregivers, first of all, call a caregiver up and tell them to tune in. Excuse me. When you get old, you get these frogs in your throat. But, that's another story. Now, let me just briefly tell you how I became a caregiver. About 27 years ago, my beautiful wife, Charlene, first of all, we've been married almost 50 years. And it was a fairy tale, storybook, romance, courtship, and marriage. And halfway through, about 22, 23 years into it, she started to realize that she wanted to travel more. The kids were out of the house. We married them all off, each one twice. And we were entering into what people call the empty nest phase of life, right? We were financially stable. We had time. We had, the kids, the house was empty. But then she started complaining to me about this headache she'd been having for 3 days, the headache of her life. It was a holiday weekend, and we didn't think about going to the hospital because it was only a headache, right? What's the doctor going to say? Take 2 aspirin, call me in the morning. But unfortunately, on that fourth day, that headache turned into a stroke. And by the time the ambulance came, it was too late. My beautiful wife suffered a massive stroke, lost her speech, and became paralyzed on one side. And in that moment, our world just turned upside down. Nothing would ever be the same again. And life was pretty rough. We were entering into, which I didn't know at the time. I didn't even know what the grief process was, but that's what we were entering into, a grief process. You don't just go through it. Well, you do go through it. You can't go around it or under it or shortcuts to grief. You got to go through it. And so it was pretty rough. We almost broke up. Charlene was mean and angry most of the time toward me because I was the only one around, right? The Mills Brothers sing a song, you only hurt the ones you love, the ones you shouldn't hurt at all. And I got to a point where I just couldn't take it anymore. So I did what I do when I get to that point. I sit down and I write my feelings down on paper. I wrote her a letter. I said, Charlene, why are you so mean to me? It's so hard being your husband, your caregiver, without getting any crumbs of appreciation or love in return. I just don't think I can be with you anymore. I'll take care of you financially, but I just can't be with you. So, I was proud of myself. I got it off my chest. I'm reading the letter back to myself. And I says, I can't give this to how can I give this to the love of my life, to the woman I've been married for 23 years at that time, to my soulmate, to the mother of my children? I couldn't do it. So I just filed it in my filing cabinet under my letters, my unsent letters, which sometimes you should not send letters that you write. And I'm glad I didn't. Anyway, I just went on in my loneliness, my depression, my aloneness. And, I figured, okay, what the heck? But the next day, I find this business card in my pocket. I'm looking at it, and it's inviting me to a caregiver support group. I didn't even know what a caregiver was at that time. Certainly didn't know what a support group was. But I said, well, someone must have given this to me. I don't remember. Maybe they think I need it. So what the heck? I'll go. What have I got to lose? So I went, and that's when everything changed for me. I met people there just like me, burned out caregivers. I heard from them that, like the airline says, in the event of an emergency, put your oxygen mask on first before you help your loved one with their mask. I mean, hello, what an amazing metaphor for all of life. Take care of you first. Otherwise, you're both going to go down. And the airlines know that very well. And so there's other things that they taught me to do, like not only put your needs first, but to ask for help. Now, I'm an auto mechanic. I have a gas station. I fix things. That's what I do. I'm a fixer. And I've learned that a lot of women don't like to be fixed. They just want you to listen. Well, anyway, people would ask me, hey, you need any help? I say, no, I got it. Why do caregivers don't receive help, even when it's offered to them? I don't know, maybe they feel like, they don't want to be indebted, or, I can handle this. I'm a mechanic. I can fix things, or whatever it is. But you know what? Everyone has one of these, right? This is called a cell phone. You turn it on, you punch in your number, and you talk. Hello, Mom. I need help. Grandma's driving me crazy. Call your brother, call your sister, call your wife's ex-husband, call anybody. But get over that silly notion, if you can't do this by yourself, you're a failure as a caregiver, because that attitude will kill you. The next thing is people deal with guilt, right? Now, there was a program back in the 70s, to tell you how old I am. It was called Sanford and Son, one of my favorite programs. And Fred Sanford was being cared for by his son, Lamont. Lamont was a caregiver. They don't really say that, but that's what it was. Fred couldn't be by himself. Anyway, Fred would have these ways of manipulating his son, as caregivers will do. They'll manipulate you. They'll make you feel guilty. They'll do whatever. Here's how Fred did it. Oh, it's a big one. No, son, really, it's a big one. Elizabeth, I'm coming to meet you, honey. It's the big one. And Fred would fall for that con every single time. And caregivers are the same way. But, guilt is like being handcuffed to your loved one in caregiver prison with no possibility of parole for the rest of your life. And you know what? That kind of guilt will kill you also. So, I came up with this CARE formula, C-A-R-E. C, communicate with your friends. If you have friends that you were going to the movies with, or going to work out with, or going to coffee with, then continue those relationships. A lot of caregivers will start ragging on their friends, saying, oh, you never believe what my wife did today, man. This is, and your friends don't want to hear this. No one wants to be around Debbie Downer. And so pretty soon, your friends are going to stop calling. They're going to stop coming by, and you're going to be all alone. You're going to be isolated. That will make your depression worse. If you have friends, continue those relationships, and do not complain about your caregiving role to them. You want to complain? Join a caregiver support group, either online or in person. And they're great because, you get together and everybody complains about their, loved one that they're dealing with. We went to one where the caregivers went in one room, and the stroke survivors, that was my wife's thing, went into the other room, and we would complain about each other, but we didn't hear it, and you got it off your chest. And when you hear the other person complain, you say, oh my God, I'm going through the same thing. I thought I was, the only one going through that. It just makes you feel empowered that you're not alone, that this is normal. And if they got through it, then you can get through it, So those are the three biggest mistakes that caregivers make, right? They don't ask for help. They don't put their needs first, and they allow guilt to, overwhelm them. So how's my wife today? Everybody asks. Well, she's still, after 27 years, she still cannot walk. She still cannot talk. But, she is an amazing person. She's like a cross between Martha Stewart and Wonder Woman, which she was before her stroke. She was an interior decorator, a wedding coordinator, a gourmet cook. I mean, the woman does everything. I come home and, dinner's on the table. The laundry is out of the dryer, and the house is clean. And I say, where are the elves that helped you? Because she's in a wheelchair. She's got one arm, one leg. It's like a one-arm wallpaper hanger. But she's amazing. And she's still amazing. And people look at her and say, oh, my gosh, you do more than I can do. And I got both arms and both legs and I can talk. What the heck am I complaining about? So she's an inspiration to people. And she's my hero. And I love her so much. And now, poor thing, she wore out her shoulder, because it's the only shoulder that worked for 27 years. Finally, she's got a tear in her rotator cuff. She's got to have surgery. They gave her a cortisone injection, didn't help. So now on the 22nd, which is just in about a week, she's got to go and get surgery on her shoulder, which now means she's immobilized. She's an invalid now. She can't move either shoulder. She's going to be in the hospital for 3 days. She is going to be in a rehab center for 6 weeks. I'm going to be a bachelor for 6 weeks. I'm going to have to visit her, bring her real food because, the food in those places. Anyway, so I am Caregiver Dave. I'm at caregiverdave.com. I've spoken on too many stages to count, from Hawaii to Washington, D.C., just sharing my story, helping caregivers to stay alive. I've been on 59, I think is the last count, network TV shows, also from Hawaii to Washington, D.C., spoken London at the London Stock Exchange. And you've got to do this. I've set up on my website blogs, videos, my radio show. And here's the biggest deal. The books, too, of course. I've got 4 books. But I am offering a free introductory coaching session. If you have a problem, you're going through something, just connect to caregiverdave.com, go to the coaching link, and set up an appointment. It has my schedule there. It'll fill my calendar, because 30 minutes of a coaching call can really solve some of the biggest things that you happen to be going through. So again, it's caregiverdave.com. Don't be shy. I have this offer. So few people take advantage of this because, again, caregivers, they don't ask for help. They don't want help, and yet they're dying. So please, 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 I beg you, I implore you, go to caregiverdave.com, buy a book, listen to my radio show, and for goodness sake, take advantage of the free 30-minute coaching call. And that's all I've got on this end. My time is up. Thank you, Sherelle, for the opportunity to come on again to speak to caregivers, because, I don't do this for money. I own a gas station. That's where I make my money from. But, it's a labor of love, and it's my give back. And I just wish more caregivers would be healthy like me. Only 10% of caregivers are healthy. Like I said, 30% die, 40% if you're a Alzheimer's. And the rest of them, except for the healthy 10%, which is like 40, 50%, I don't know if they're the lucky ones, but they will actually become hospitalized and become sicker than the ones they're caring for, and eventually need a caregiver of their own. So come on, choose your poison, right? So again, caregiverdave.com. God bless you all.
The Global Caregivers Network presents the first annual Global Male Caregivers Summit, coming your way April 13th, 2024, beginning at 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Register on Eventbrite to hear from the most amazing and powerfully inspiring men as they share caregiving from the male perspective. Grab your ticket today and we'll see you there.